Hello folks, buying a new car can be a tricky business and a lot of people find the whole idea pretty daunting, and that's because we know there are loads of scammers out there. We know that people sometimes try and push on cars that are a bit of a lemon. So in this video I'm going to take you through some really simple things that a lot of people don't do or don't consider when buying a used car, and these are things you should be doing before you part with your hard-earned cash. Let's start with number one. Before you go and view a car, do a quick Google and find all the common faults for that particular car so that you can inspect those things and test those things when you're actually there viewing the car. In fact, some of them might be things that put you off that kind of car altogether. So it's well worth spending a little bit of time and doing some research before you go and look. Also look at the price. Is it too cheap? Are those cars always £10,000 and this one's £8,000? If it looks too good to be true, folks, quite often it is. When you go to view the car, if you're getting it from a private seller, make sure you're meeting them at the address on the V5, the logbook document. And if you're not, why? Ask yourself that. Also, make sure you're dealing with the registered owner and keeper of the vehicle. If need be, ask them for a bit of ID just to verify it. Make sure you check the tyres properly. That means checking the tread and the inside edge, because you could get uneven tyre wear, which sometimes suggests a problem with tracking or something like that. Also check the condition of the tyre wall. You don't want to see this as heavily cracked or big gouges out of it. And really just give a good visual inspection of everything that you can see. So things like the brakes, things like the general condition of the tyres and the wheels. Make sure it all looks good. Also then check round all the sills and look for rust. Have a good feel and poke around, and don't be afraid of getting underneath the car. Now, before you buy a used car, you have to do all your normal checks. That means giving it a proper test drive, and when you test drive, you should be looking for faults, you should be looking for warning lights, you should be looking for anything that appears to be a little bit off. You can double down on that and get yourself an OBD2 scanner like this one from 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼𝙏. I'm in the little 𝑚e at the moment. Now, obviously, my 𝑚e is an electric car, so it doesn't have the oily bits to check. But aside from that, all the systems in this car are the same as they are in any other 𝑚e. So this will be able to read the ECU, the various control modules, tell me if there are any faults, and if there are, it'll even tell me how to put them right. Let's do the used car check first. This detects if there's been tampering of the mileage or the VIN number. Massively important, and it's now running the check. We get a little progress bar as it goes through. So what that's doing now is checking what's on the odometer, seeing if there are any records to see that that's been changed, and it will also check other key modules within the car. So if this had an internal combustion engine in, it would be checking the engine management module perhaps. Okay, 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁 has detected no tampering. Please check details. So the one data point there for the VIN, I've checked that, the VIN is correct. Found 11 data points on the mileage. So these are all the different areas that they're going to dig in for the mileage. And then this is a brilliant thing. It shows you how many times the airbags have gone off. And that's a big 0 on all of them. So I'm now running a diagnostics check on the car, but these are manufacturer level scans. So really deep dive into all the different systems in your car. Now on my car, it's thrown up a couple of little faults that I'm not actually too worried about. But the great thing is you can go into the app and read more information about the fault. It'll tell you if the car needs to go for a service, if it's something that you should just keep an eye on, be a bit careful with, all that kind of stuff. And if it's appropriate, you can just clear the fault. One of the ones on this is that the standard battery, not the high voltage battery, is actually a bit low at the moment. And that's because I'm sitting here using all the power with the door open, the light on, so that's completely normal. So I've got no problem with that one. Now, one more serious issue it's come up with is ABS brakes. And you think, oh, that's not great, because instead of being a yellow issue, it's an orange one. Actually, it's just a tyre pressure warning. So basically I need to put some air in the tyres. Now, if you want to check out 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁, there's a link in the video description. That link will save you 15% off your 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁 subscription. And of course, you can use the code JIM15 at checkout if you prefer to go directly to the website. Again, saving you 15%. When you take a car on a test drive, make that test drive count. Lots of people don't. They just get in the car and randomly drive it round the block, just like I am now. What you should be doing is things like testing the gearbox out. If that's a manual gearbox, it's good to get it out on the open road, maybe get it up into 4th gear, and then accelerate as hard as you possibly can. If the car makes progress as the revs go up, you know that the clutch is okay. If it doesn't, you know it could be on its way out. Also look for things like shuddering and juddering through the gearbox, or a clutch where the biting point just feels off. All those kind of things could be a sign that the car is going to cost you serious money in the short-term future. If it's an automatic gearbox, you want to go up and down through the gears. You want to do lots of stops and then quick pullaways again. You want to go from reverse to neutral to drive, all in fairly quick succession. You want to feel it going up through those gears and coming back down. That's going to obviously be much more possible with some types of automatic gearbox than others, but all you're looking for is signs of severe sort of judderiness or sort of thudding between gear changes. But issues with clutch, gearbox, transmissions generally, some of them can be quite simple and not too expensive, but some can cost an absolute arm and a leg and be a bit of a pain in the bum. So just be careful and do the tests properly. Now, when it's safe to do so, and you're on a nice piece of flat, quiet road, when there's not too much of a camber on it, what you can do is just momentarily take your hands off the wheel and see if the car pulls to the left or the right unduly. If so, that could signify an issue. Also, make sure you give the car a good emergency stop or two, and again, see if the car's pulling heavily to one side or the other, or indeed, if the ABS doesn't kick in or the car doesn't stop as sharply as you would expect it to. Now, I've already shown you that little 𝙁𝙁 diagnostic tool, and hopefully you've already run a diagnostic test on the car by the time you test drive it. But it's a really good idea to run it again after you've test driven the car, because if there are faults with the car, it could well be that the current owner or the car dealership has cleared those faults. And then once you get in the car and take it for a drive, actually those fault codes register again and you get to see them with your own eyes. So well worth doing it twice. The point really is the test drive is a massively important part of how you verify that you're getting yourself a decent car. Not everything's going to show up on a test drive, but some things will. But make sure you have a plan in place when you go out with your test drive. Be quite methodical with it and go through everything you need to check. In my little book about buying a used car, which you'll find on Amazon, there's a link in the video description, you will find a little test drive checklist just to help you along your way. Folks, just a very quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. Does the car come with 2 keys? If not, it can be expensive to get yourself a spare. Perhaps use that as a negotiation point with the seller and get them to knock some money off the price for you, or ask them to provide you with a second key. I'm sure you've seen me mention this before, but cars advertised as being HPI clear often have a hidden history that doesn't come up on a standard HPI check and won't show up on the kind of checks they do for free on websites like Auto Trader and eBay. You need to use a proper car history check service for that, like the one in the link in the video description. Having a service book for the car that's full of stamps is one thing, but those stamps are not always as they appear to be. Lots of unscrupulous car dealers have a drawer full of stamps for various different dealerships so that they can sell every car with a full dealer's history. What you really want is to see a big folder with it full of invoices and receipts and any other supporting documentation. But if there's not a big folder full of receipts and invoices that come with it, and all you've got to go by is that service book, feel free to pick up the phone and call some of those car dealerships that are in that book. See if they know the car, see if they actually had it in for service on the dates mentioned in the service record. Not every car dealer is out there trying to rip you off. There are some brilliant ones around and some really genuine people, but the opposite is also true. There are some that are trying to pull the wool over your eyes. So the real message is proceed with caution and inspect rather than expect. Lift the bonnet and check all the fluids. Make sure it's got enough oil in, check the condition of the oil, and if the engine's not boiling hot, unscrew the oil filler cap and look underneath it. If you see something looking a bit milky or yogurty, or anything like that, basically anything other than dark brown black oil, then that could be a sign that there's water in there, and that's bad news. When it's time to actually pay your money and get the car transferred into your name, you can do it the old school way, and that's by filling in the V5 form and leaving it to the seller to send away in the post. But if there's a problem with that V5, you could be easily deceived at this point. So instead, make them do it online in front of you, and if there are any issues whatsoever, it simply won't go through, and do that before you've parted with your cash. I hope you found this one useful, folks. Don't forget to go and check out 𝑼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼𝙏. It's a great little tool. The link is in the video description, and of course you can use that code that's popping up on the screen to get yourself a nice discount. Also head on over to the website notaguru.co.uk. There's lots of useful information for you there, and also in the video description you'll find links to Amazon for my book. That is available free if you do the Kindle Unlimited free trial, and you'll also find a link to my chosen car history check provider. All that's there for you to basically help you along your way. This is not a comprehensive list of all the things you should be doing, but these are some things that a lot of people miss out on that they really shouldn't. So I hope you find it useful. I hope it makes the car buying process a little bit less daunting for you, and you feel a tiny bit more prepared for your next negotiation. Thanks for watching this one, folks. If you've enjoyed it or found any of it useful, a thumbs up is completely free, as is a subscription, and both of those things really help me out. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.